I decided to make a video. Initially I was just going to read something I wrote. It's called 10 Reasons You Should Love My Reborn Baby. And it's really directed at the people who think that reborn collectors, or reborn moms as we're also known, are delusional, crazy, off their rocker, whatever the case. So I wrote this, and it's directed at parents and at child-free people and at younger people, older people, anybody who has this really skewed view of this community. And so I'm going to read that to you, and then I'm going to share some thoughts with you. So number 1, I will never use tax dollars to go on welfare or WIC to support my reborn baby. Number 2, my reborn baby won't make noise in a movie theater, in a store, or on an airplane. Number 3, my reborn baby has no illnesses or viruses that could make you or your baby sick. Number 4, my reborn baby will never take up space on the changing table in the restroom. Number 5, my reborn baby won't make a mess in your store, your restaurant, or your home. Number 6, my reborn baby will not take the last available appointment at the doctor's office. Number 7, my reborn baby is not contributing to millions of diapers rotting away in landfills. Number 8, my reborn baby will not take the last available spot at the local daycare. Number 9, my reborn baby won't get sick and require that I stay home from school or work. Number 10, my reborn baby will never scream and wake up your baby. Now, I'm not directing those comments at any specific group or any specific person. I'm just illustrating the things that, as parents of reborn children or, reborn moms, these are the things that we don't contribute as far as issues in society. It's completely harmless for me to take out my reborn baby to a store. How does that inconvenience anyone else? It doesn't. Whereas, speaking as a child-free person, I've gone into stores many times and seen children throw up on the floor, wipe their snot everywhere. I mean, I'm not anti-child by any means, but they scream and they cry, and children are disruptive. It's their nature, and that's what you expect of children. But my point is, I'm subjected to that, and yet how am I subjecting parents to anything when I bring my quiet, quote-unquote well-behaved reborn into the store? Most people, frankly, don't even notice that it's not a real sleeping baby. So I guess what I don't understand is all the animosity that this community gets, because we are in no way harming anyone else by having these dolls, by taking them out. It's absolutely no one else's business how much money we spend on them or any of that. I've met many wonderful people in this community. They're, ranging from young to, middle-aged to older, and everything in between. So it's a very diverse community, and I really don't see how you can take one blanket judgment and just apply it to everyone, because we are so very different. So on that note, I'm going to speak from a reborn mom's perspective and not a collector's perspective, because collectors are different. These are art forms. These reborn dolls are art forms. They take a lot of skill to create and a lot of time to create, and so it is an art form. So there are many people who appreciate it from that perspective, and they're doll collectors, and that's what they do. Being a reborn mom is a little different. We do a lot of role-playing, no different than World of Warcraft, no different than some of these trading card games, no different than men playing with model cars or model trains or any of that. So it's a role-playing community, and there is a difference between a collector and someone who role-plays with their reborn. So I'm speaking from the role-playing, quote-unquote, reborn mom perspective. First off, I want to say that to me, this isn't a reborn issue. It's not a doll issue. It's not that narrow. It's a very broad issue to me. I'm an advocate of personal freedoms. So what that means to me is the freedom to do what you want to do in your life, the freedom to make the choices that are correct and right for you, as long as they don't hurt anyone else. So this extends to sexual orientation, gender identification, religious and political affiliation, musical tastes, women's rights, and the choice to do what we want to do with our own bodies, which includes being pro-choice, and body modification. And yes, this includes fake nails, hair dye, pierced ears. Those are all body modifications. It doesn't have to be a tattoo. It doesn't have to be, piercings all over your body. Those are small body modifications. So what I'm saying is, I don't see this as a reborn issue or a psychological issue or a gender issue, men versus women. This is an issue of personal freedom. My definition of personal freedom is the freedom to live your life on your own terms, as long as it harms no one else. I don't feel that it's my place to make critical life decisions for another person. I'm not so arrogant that I believe I know what is right for everyone. I think that in terms of being judged by, society, judgments are easy to make. It's very easy to make a judgment about a person. We do it all the time. We do it for the grocery store clerk, if she doesn't say hello or greet us properly or doesn't ring things up fast enough. We do it in restaurants when the waiter doesn't fill our water glass, as often as we'd like. We make judgments, snap judgments about people all the time. And it's especially common on the internet, places like Facebook, YouTube, MySpace, blogs. It's especially common because we're not seeing a person. And we have very little trouble doing it to a live person, so we have zero trouble doing it, to a computer screen. But my point is, these are all real people. And I think judgments are very easy to make, but understanding takes effort. It takes effort and energy and a measure of maturity and compassion to see things from another person's perspective. And that's what it really boils down to. Psychologists actually support the reborn community. And I think the idea that we're delusional or we believe these dolls are real children, I think that's an extreme rarity. I've been on many forums, I've met many different people. I have yet to meet a single person, in thousands of users on these forums and on the internet that actually believe these are real children. I have yet to meet a single person. And I think by this point I would have met one. I just don't think it's happening. And, there are, I don't want to say crazy, but there are mentally ill people, people who have delusions in every aspect of society, every race, every culture. Everyone has, an aspect of their society that is considered crazy. But to blanket that across an entire community, I think is very ignorant. I mean, if I were to tell you that my favorite color is blue, or that my favorite food is Italian, there's very little that statement tells you about me. And yet, a person can take a statement like, well, this person, this is a grown adult and they play with reborn dolls. That automatically labels me crazy, which I think is crazy. That's such a small amount of information. And I think people really need to keep that in perspective. It's very easy for you to look at my Reborn YouTube channel and make comments and make judgments that that's my life. I sit around and play with dolls. Well, that's not the truth. I'm a writer, I'm a college student, I'm a psych major, I'm a lot of things that extend outside this community. And I think that's true for anyone who has a Reborn channel, who has a Reborn blog. We all have lives outside of this, just like anyone else has lives outside of their own hobbies. So I think it's very ignorant to take these tiny pieces of information and make these blanket judgments. I think race, gender, sexual orientation, people attach meaning to these things, and they make judgments based on limited information because it's easier than stepping outside of themselves and actually seeing something from another person's viewpoint. That takes, a mature adult to be able to do that. And just as I don't want anyone telling me that I'm crazy, I don't want anyone telling me what I should be doing with my life, what I should be spending my money on, should I be spending money, on clothes and nursery items and all of this for a doll, that's no one's business but my own. And I would never dream of telling someone else how they can spend their time or their money or their effort. That's none of my business. And I never would think that it was. I would never think that I have the right to tell someone else how to live their life. And to me, that's what it boils down to. It's not about dolls. It's not about little girls versus grown women. It's not about women versus men. It's not about crazy versus, mentally healthy. It's not about any of those things. It's about personal freedoms. It's a much larger issue than people make it out to be. And I think these people who judge our community would not want someone else telling them how to live their life. I'm sure they have hobbies that maybe are strange, are potentially harmful, smoking, drug use, whatever. I would never dream of stepping in and telling someone else what they can do with their life. That is their choice. And to me, that's what this issue is about. It's about choice. I'm a grown adult. I make my own choices, and I refuse to apologize for those. And if people want to take a blanket judgment and apply it to me, that's their problem. I refuse to make it my problem. So I think that's something in the reborn community that people need to understand, is this is not a problem with you when someone's judging you. That's a problem with them. And if they've got nothing better to do, it sounds cliche, but some of these people who make it their hobby to go around and harass people on YouTube because they collect reborns, I just find that comical. And I feel sorry for those people, because they must not have a satisfying, fulfilling life if they need to go around and do that to people. There's just nothing productive about that. There's nothing. And I hope those people are able to find some peace in their life, because clearly it doesn't exist right now. There's just absolutely no reason for a grown, mature adult or person to do that. And unfortunately, I think it's very common, and that's my opinion on it. And I refuse to let someone else's idea of what I should be or what I should do with my life affect me, because that's my decision. So that's basically all I wanted to say. Appreciate you watching.